Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau. For nearly a century, Farm Bureau has been a friend of the farm for all Virginians. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy, brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Here's what's coming up on this week's show. Goats and yoga enthusiasts challenge a world record. Discover a tasty fall appetizer. And visit natural wonders of all kinds in this week's County Close-Up.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Pactamere Farm in Hanover County, where Eric and Katie Evans raise dozens of goats who love being a part of the couple's animal-assisted therapy. Burke Moeller has the story on how these four-legged friends helped hundreds of yoga enthusiasts challenge a world record.
Here they come. Goats greeted yoga lovers at Richmond's Diamond Baseball Stadium to stretch muscles and dollars for a good cause. The event was organized by Eric and Katie Evans, who operate Pactamere Farm in Hanover County. Their goal was to break the goat yoga world record of 501 participants. And while they didn't get the record, the couple says they were able to raise $15,000 for their nonprofit charity, Pactamere Cares, which offers animal-assisted therapy to those in need. Amy Gleason and her daughter did goat yoga at Pactamere Farms and made the trip from Charlottesville to Richmond to take part in the fun.
It's just really silly. It's very light on yoga and heavy on playing with goats.
Virginia Farm Bureau Federation was a sponsor of the event. A live DJ was on hand playing music while patrons got some time with the goats in a makeshift petting zoo before the main event. There was also a photo backdrop for people who wanted a snapshot with a goat, and food trucks for nourishment and water. Temperatures were in the 80s and it felt hotter on the field. The Evanses say next time they'll try to hold an indoor event to try to break the record. This time, some 300 participants ended up at the Diamond, so while the outcome may not have been the greatest of all time, the goats and the yogis found peace of mind and fun. The downward dog pose can often lead to a goat climbing on your back. The record-breaking attempt had its origins 3 years ago, when Katie told husband Eric she wanted goats for Mother's Day. They already had alpacas, so Eric brought her 4 goats. They saw goat yoga spreading around the country and decided to give it a try.
You know, the goats were kind of giving us some solace and making us happy, and so we were like, let's see if we can try using the goats for other people, you know, spreading joy. So we started goat yoga. First class was like 80 people, so obviously it was a hit, so we just went from there.
So we were like, wow, we can't do goat yoga with 4 goats, so like we were literally running all over the place trying to get goats.
Since then, the couple has hosted 18,000 goat yoga guests at their farm and are now up to 52 goats. The goats have become the heroes on their farm and have given the Evanses new ideas to try more agritourism ventures.
An escape room. Have it be very farm related. We have like a spooky one and then have like a more kid friendly side. So that's kind of in the works. But we want it to be really fun and like challenging for people that really like escape rooms as well.
Oh, goat yoga has definitely been huge, but I think, you know, that's probably what got us a lot of attention, and then they see the amount of other things we do.
Katie is an artist, so she teaches felting classes, wreathing classes, and paint classes. And goats are part of the fun.
When we had really large classes, we did have all the goats in there, and they're jumping on the tables, walking across. I mean, it was, but we had people that were really cool. I mean, they put their paintings down, let them walk across it, and it basically was them putting their touch on their canvas.
A small farm in Arizona is credited with holding the first goat yoga class in 2015. Since then, the practice has spread thanks to social media. This summer, goat yoga was a featured event at the Great American Farmers Market on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Katie, Eric, and 30 goats led 95 participants in a goat yoga class. The couple's veterinarian worked with U.S. Department of Agriculture officials to get rabies shots and health certificates before they mingled with the crowd. Goat yoga combines the mind and body therapeutic benefits of yoga with the laughter, fur, and nibbles that come with interacting with friendly goats. The sessions are designed to be beginner-friendly and fun for everyone. The Pactamere Cares charity isn't just for the farm. The Evanses have also done goat yoga events at battered women's shelters and hospice centers and for wounded warrior groups and inner-city children. Their website, pactamerecares.com, shows where they spend the money they raise. Future goat yoga classes are planned at the farm going forward. At the State Fair of Virginia, Samantha Marcus showed her Nigerian dwarf deer goats for competition. She provides goats for goat yoga classes at her local 4-H in Fauquier County.
We usually do it yearly as a fundraiser for my kids' Dairy Goat Club. So we sort of donate our time and our goats for a couple of hours, and the facility pays us, and then we use those funds to pay for things like the kids' trip to the fair, the vet checks, or any kind of like lunches that they want to have at their meetings.
The goat yoga classes have proven popular at the 4-H Center as well.
It's fun too. People love it. It's not always exactly what they expect, but it's fun.
In Caroline County, I'm Burke Moeller for Real Virginia.
The number of goat farms in the U.S. continues to grow. In January 2025, 2.51 million head of goats were raised in America, up 1% from last year. Besides being popular as an agritourism attraction, goats are also raised for meat, dairy, and fiber. High demand for meat, especially from immigrant populations, has made raising goats more attractive for Virginia farmers. Landowners also use goats for brush and vegetation management. And the Virginia Department of Forestry has even used grazing goats to help control invasive plant species.
From the Ground Up will be back next month, but this week we have a special gubernatorial election year feature.
Farming is a rewarding way of life, but it can also be full of challenges. If you or someone you know is struggling, call or text the AgriStress helpline at 833-897-2474. It offers 24/7 access to professionals who can support someone in need and help find mental health services in your community. Please make the call, because healthy farms depend on healthy farm families. That's 833-897-2474.
With Virginia's race for governor quickly coming to a close, both campaigns spoke with us at Virginia Farm Bureau to share their agricultural and rural priorities. Democratic nominee Abigail Spanberger emphasizes the importance of agriculture and forestry to Virginia's economy and pledges her support to farmers.
I'm Abigail Spanberger. I'm the Democratic nominee for governor in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I'm excited to be speaking to the Farm Bureau today. As a candidate for governor, it's important to notice and it's important to uplift the voices of agricultural and rural Virginia. Certainly, given that Virginia's #1 private industry is agriculture and #3 is forestry, recognizing the value and the history of Virginia agriculture has always been essential to the work that I did when I was a member of Congress and now as a candidate for governor. And certainly, as we look at some of the instability that we're seeing as it relates to tariffs and as it relates to some of the provisions coming out of Capitol Hill, it's now more important than ever that we have here in the Commonwealth of Virginia a governor who recognizes the value of Virginia's extension programs, the boots on the ground who help farmers and producers across our Commonwealth, that we recognize the value of local research and how that can inform and support the efforts of growers. And it's ultimately, as governor, I want to ensure that I am uplifting the voices of Virginia's farmers and producers, that we are fully funding our BMPs, recognizing the value that they have on farms across Virginia, particularly as we might see changes in federal conservation programs, and ultimately ensuring that through the APHID program, we are bringing additional investment to communities and farms across Virginia in a way that will meaningfully impact certainly Virginia's agricultural community, but our larger economy.
And now, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears highlights agriculture as a national security priority and commits to lower taxes and reduce regulations on farmers while emphasizing close collaboration.
Hello everyone, I'm Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears, Lieutenant Governor of our beautiful Commonwealth of Virginia. Agriculture is very important to me. We need to make sure that our food supply is safe. We ensure that by growing our food here. We ensure that by making sure we give tax incentives to you as farmers, to you in the forestry industry, to you in the cattle industry. We ensure that by making sure we don't keep taking money from you in the form of higher taxes, that we don't put regulations on you in the form of new mandates. We've got to come and find out what is important to you so that we know how to help you. And that's why I'm so glad to have been here with the Farm Bureau to talk about those things that pertain to you so that we don't make wrong legislation or wrong regulation. I want to see about expanding the aphids grants. I think it's time and the need is great. Also, I know that, again, agriculture is our #1 industry in Virginia. I'm not going to do anything to hurt that. Forestry is #3. I'm not going to do anything to hurt that. In fact, between those two, you employ over half a million Virginians. That's real numbers. And behind those numbers are real people. We're talking about lives that would be affected because of policies that might hurt, but hopefully our policies will help, and that's what I'm going to do. Make sure that before we change things, we come and talk to you. There's just so much help that we can do for farmers, for our rural areas. We got to get some things done. There's still work to be done. Come and let me know what's important to you.
We appreciate both campaigns speaking with us and encourage Virginians to vote this election day.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. Coming up on Heart of the Home, a delicious appetizer. We have salt roasted potatoes stuffed with goat cheese and herbs, topped with toasted walnuts. We hope you'll stay with us.
Every year, 500 people in the United States die in an all-terrain vehicle-related accident, and another 1,000 people are seriously injured. Sadly, many of those victims are children.
Being able to have fun on an ATV, being able to use an ATV in a workplace environment, there's a lot of unknowns. #1 tip for riding an ATV is definitely wearing a helmet. You think about the opportunity to overturn an ATV, imagine your head the same density as a watermelon and how easy it would be to crack. One of the biggest things that we always push for anybody we train is always make sure that you have a good quality helmet before you ride. Parents are the leading example of what children tend to follow when they're out using an ATV on a farm. So we want to make sure that our parents are very knowledgeable about safety and equipment and being able to teach their children the correct method to operate an ATV safety, especially with the age. Age is important.
This message brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau Safety Advisory Committee.
Whether you're looking for a new creation from freshly dug potatoes or trying to find a recipe featuring goat cheese, Chef Tammy shows us a creative combination in the Heart of the Home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Welcome to Heart of the Home. I'm showing you guys a great recipe today for the holidays. It's a good little appetizer recipe. A little time consuming, but it's a lot of fun and absolutely delicious. What we want to do is we're doing a salt roasted potato. We're doing red potatoes in this case, and I certainly think this would look beautiful with a purple potato and a gold potato as well. And we started out with the oven on 350 degrees, a little bit of salt on our pan, and we laid our potatoes on top after we've tossed them with a little bit of oil. Once they come out of the oven, you want to brush off the salt. They're nice and tender here. I can feel that. There's no reason to peel them or anything. We're going to cut them in half. Then you're going to come back and we're going to scoop them out, the pulp out of the potato itself. All we're doing is making a vessel for that goat cheese. You don't want to get all the potato out, just want enough to put a little thing of goat cheese in there. And you really do actually want to try to keep the shell or the skin of the potato intact. All right, so we've taken our filling out of most of the potatoes here. I'm going to chop up some herbs. I've got some rosemary still in my garden this year. I love using it. And I've got some fresh thyme, So we're just going to pull those leaves off. And a lot of times, to be honest, I don't even chop the leaves at the time because they're so darn small. So we're just going to get a little bit more here. Going to do a little chop of the herbs. We're going to mix herbs with the chopped herbs with some goat cheese. And these can actually be done ahead. The potatoes could be roasted the day before. They could even have the filling removed out of them. You could mix up the filling with the goat cheese and the herbs, and then the day of your party, you just simply take the time to stuff them into the potato shells. Got a nice little balance of color here working into the goat cheese. Now we're going to have a little bit of a salt flavor from the potato itself, but I'm actually going to go ahead and add just a little bit of salt to the goat cheese. Goat cheese typically is very plain, but I love the flavor, very creamy. But I'm not going to add a lot. So now you want to pick up your shell of the potato and use a spoon. You can certainly use a pastry bag if you choose to. If the goat cheese is crumbly, you might have a little bit of a hard time with a pastry bag, so I'd recommend that you actually do the spoon. Back on the platter. One thing I didn't talk about at the beginning there was the salt that's on our pan that we roasted the potatoes in. That is actually a kosher salt. You definitely want a coarse salt more than anything else. And one thing I did at the beginning that you did not see was I actually toasted some walnut halves. I love using walnuts in all of my cooking as well, but really any nut of choice that you would like to use is fine for this recipe. And certainly if you have nut allergies within your family or group or friends, you wouldn't want to leave the nuts completely out. In which case, to be honest, if you did want to do that, you could put pumpkin seeds on top of it in place of the nut, because it is a seed, not a nut, and it would be equally delicious. So now we have about 7 or 8 or so of our potato cups stuffed with the goat cheese and herbs. I'm going to come back with a toasted walnut on top. And one thing I'm noticing as I'm putting the walnut on top, you know, the potatoes can be a little kind of hard to stand up because they are a round bottom. You could actually cut just a hair off the bottom of that potato to help it stand a little bit easier. Beautiful little appetizer. And there you have it, goat cheese, stuffed salt roasted potatoes, topped with a toasted walnut half. I'm Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Meet the potato, a plant that is technically a perennial but cultivates as an annual. Out of 3,000 potato varieties on Earth, only about 100 end up on our dinner plates. The part we eat is the tuber, the thick end of the stem that grows underground. After harvesting, spuds are stored for 4 to 15 weeks before they become dormant and begin to sprout. Kept nice and cool, no warmer than 39 degrees Fahrenheit, they can last up to 9 months. Here in Virginia, potatoes were grown on 481 farms across 3,200 acres in 2022, according to the most recent Census of Agriculture. Roughly 90% of those come from the Eastern Shore, where they bring in as much as $20 million a year. Globally, potatoes rank as the 4th largest food crop.
Looking for somewhere to enjoy local food, autumn leaves, and discover an agricultural legacy? This week's County Close-Up takes us to the perfect spot for a fall road trip. Located in the Shenandoah Valley, Rockbridge County is home to the stunning Natural Bridge. With its storied arch reaching 215 feet, the Natural Bridge has welcomed presidents and locals alike. But beauty here isn't just carved in stone, it's cultivated in the soil. Farmers here raise cattle on mountain meadows and provide fresh eggs, meat, cheese, and local produce to the community. Join us as we meet the people and places behind Rockbridge County's agricultural story.
We wanted to feed our community and our neighbors and our friends and our family, and so the model that we chose was so that we could do that. And I have a background in veggies and fruit production, and John had a background in animals. And so we thought between the two of us, we could take both of our skill sets and make more of a full diet farm.
On the northern end of Rockbridge County, John and Mary Peterson run Verdant Acres Farm, where they raise produce, sheep, cattle, hogs, and broiler chickens.
The area where we landed is surrounded by agriculture, so having that support system of other farmers, definitely when we got started, a lot of the neighbors came along beside us, helped us use equipment, helped us get started, let us borrow different things, gave us ideas. The farming community in Rockbridge is strong.
I don't think it would be possible if the local community wasn't hungry for locally made foods. The only reason we can do what we do is because our community is supporting us. This direct-to-consumer model wouldn't work if we didn't have consumers showing up to pick up stuff at the store or go into our CSA hubs.
The Petersons have a fully stocked on-farm store and deliver pre-made farm shares of produce and meat to regional pickup locations as a part of their community-supported agriculture or CSA program. In the county's Fairfield community, Christy Yuji and her family are crafting artisan cheese from their cow's milk.
We were looking to add value to our product because traditionally dairying is not the greatest return on your investment. So in order to add value to our product, we put in a processing facility and started with cheese. It's grown or grew to the point where I could quit my job teaching art. We made cheese for 2 years. I took a two-year leave of absence and then sent my Dear John letter in, and we built a bigger facility, and we've been making cheese ever since.
The Yuji's business has flourished, with cheese wheels and slices alike being sold at their on-farm store, regional restaurants, and universities. While the Yuji's add value to their dairy, just down the mountain, Jordan Blaylock and his family have an innovative egg collection system for their almost 40,000 laying hens.
The egg operation inside is pretty simple. It's very mechanized. Eggs come to the center of the house. We pack twice a day, in the morning and in the afternoon. Most of all the eggs come in the morning, so it's pretty important to be here on a specific time.
The 38,000 eggs the Blaylocks collect each day are packed and then picked up once a week and taken to Pennsylvania for distribution. Blaylock and his family also raise beef cattle and sheep and see diversity as an asset.
I grew up here and I've always wanted to be a full-time farmer. This chicken house, I believe, gave us the opportunity to work as a family and provide cash flow to, provide for a family here, and it just boosts everything else that goes along with the farm. Is the litter that we get from here, we use it on our farm and surrounding farms here, and through that we do more intensive grazing, so better quality beef.
According to the latest census of agriculture, there are 640 farms in Rockbridge County, covering 124,983 acres. The market value of agricultural products is $47.2 million. Livestock accounts for $35 million, with poultry and eggs bringing in $14.5 million and cattle earning $13 million. Crops raised here are worth $12.1 million.
Our farms, not only are they family-held businesses that are important parts of the economy, but they are the guardians of a natural heritage. And they are really the workers behind the constant job that is stewardship. Stewardship extends across seasons, across a challenging environment that's changeable from bouts of very dry weather to storms to all the vagaries that the seasons can bring.
Virginia Cooperative Extension Agent Tom Stanley works with farmers in Rockbridge County to help improve and sustain their farm businesses. When we visited, he was meeting with the Smith family, which raises cattle, grain, and hay in the Glasgow community.
Ann and I put it together. I never really asked the kids to come back to the farm. They just wanted to come back to the farm. Margaret Ann's the oldest, and Martha, my middle daughter. She works for Bayer, but she's still involved in the farming operation. And then my son Marcus, he's the machine guy. He's the crop guy, where Margaret's the cow person. So it works.
It means everything. It wasn't something we necessarily expected. Like he said, we didn't know if they would come back with the draw to come back, but it has.
Mac and Ann Smith's daughter, Margaret Ann Smith, returned to the family farm, but not without bringing her own ideas to the table.
So I have a family friend. He made some advice to me that I have shared with many, and I think it's probably the most sage piece of advice I've ever received. It was, he knew I was coming home to a family operation. It was my dad, my grandparents, multiple generations here. And he told me, he said, find something that would add to the pie, not take away from the pie. He said, expand the pie, not just dive into what's there. And that really meant a lot. And it was, how do I find what works and still let me help with my family's operation, but then let me build my own?
She now raises and markets beef cattle not only in Rockbridge County, but also across much of the United States. Whether raising fresh fruits and vegetables, or eggs, meat, and cheese, each of these farm families are committed to stewarding Rockbridge County's agricultural legacy for generations to come. For Real Virginia, I'm Elijah Griles. We're so glad you could join us to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
We know that farmers don't always get a chance to hear from the folks who use their products in their homes and on their tables. So we visited the State Fair of Virginia to get some thoughts from our fairgoers on what it is that you do and how it impacts their lives every day.
People love to know where their food and fiber are coming from. They love to know who's producing it, how they're producing it, what it all goes into it. They love to know the family aspect, whether it's a multi-generation operation or it's a brand new young farmer or just a brand new farmer. They love to know everything about it. So we're really seeing a push for people to see, where their food and fiber comes from and how it's grown and why it's grown.
Thank you for all that you do and all the foods that you give us. Have a good day and keep up the good work.
We love farmers!
Thank you so much, farmers, for providing all our food to help us survive. Thank you, farmers. Tomatoes, peppers, and strawberries. I want to be a farmer when I grow up. Thank you, farmers.